Deep in the heart of Bigfoot country, there still exist stories of a hair-covered man-like creature in the wilderness. If this creature does exist, it must leave footprints, make sounds, and leave hair. A group of individuals with experience in the subject come together to search for evidence. This documentary is filmed in a way to make you, the viewer, feel as you're right there with us. So put on your critical thinking cap and come along on our adventures, our failures, and our success. This adventure is the search and collection of what might be evidence.
So Jonathon, Jonathan. Let me spell your name right, Jonathan.
It's Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much. Let me sign the book. You said nice things about the book, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, from my heart to yours, thank you for bringing this.
John, I have seen back then. All my love, Robert Lyman.
You got your doggy.
So, Ian was telling me that one year when he came down here with Daniel Perez, they went down the Go Road, and there's this little cutout road, and there's a place called Beans Camp.
Yeah, I know Beans Camp.
Yeah, so he was saying that they found some pretty suspect, like branch breaks, like tree breaks, like grabbed and twisted down.
Yeah, I think the Go Road is like a really good place to go to. I like the Go Road, like walking it at night, because you're virtually like you're not making any sound like you do here on this terrain, you know?
Yeah, you can sneak up on something.
That's gonna
Cool.
look pretty sweet.
So we set this disco light out there, and we're gonna drive way up the road.
Yep.
We're gonna eventually walk to it. Hopefully something came to check it out.
Are you sure that one of us shouldn't stay behind and go?
All right, we're parked here on what's called the Go Road. It's pitch black out here. There's no stars. We're gonna head up the road one way. They're gonna go up the road to that disco ball thing. We'll eventually meet up.
That's like got toes and everything. The middle, yeah. Some of them.
Oh wow. That's left, right, left. Is that bear? Come here. Look, you can see toes and but is it small, big?
Is it a big
small,
one with a small
big?
one?
Yeah. They look all the same size. And then this one, and look right here. See this one right here?
So initially we were walking down and we saw that, right?
Huh.
And now, I mean, look how high that is off the ground at least.
Yeah.
You see it? Look at that. You see
And
that
right
tree?
behind it, it immediately goes down.
Yeah, then see now
But look,
this.
it looks like. Come here. Check this out. It looks like a little path, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like a little path coming up.
that's not the interesting thing. Look at this.
So-
behind this. Look right behind us.
This is nice. So this rock is pushed down. The pine needles are all pushed down. The indentation goes like this. But I can see like a big toe here.
Sure looks like it. Yeah.
Doesn't it? Just look at that. Oh, let me see.
I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
That's good. That's like the one we found in the Sierras, only you can see more toe definition in the Sierras.
Okay, look at that. Look at the depth there. It's interesting.
That is interesting.
Well, a line of tracks along the road. Just for comparison. That's how big it is compared to me. It runs a long ways, and here is these guys. This one,
This giant one where it kind of looks like it slid. And looking at all these tracks, it appears that there seem to be two sets. One, they're going that way, and there's one with a smaller set, which seems to be going the other way. The oblique in the picture, you can kind of see toe impressions along the top. That's why I was trying to pour real lightly over it and see if I can capture it in here, but this is the overall top shape.
I mean, this is the level of detail we saw here. So what's interesting to me is this whole area here.
Yeah.
There's like an obvious push. You have this area here, you have some toe, looks like. But yeah, correct. That's the big thing is people always say, was it just one track? And was it just one track? Yeah, it was like 20 tracks. So.
What would happen if you let this dry and burn it off or something?
And the deal was that I noticed is that there was like, it was like 2 big steps, step. There was no little bare steps, only in that one part.
Yeah, there were some individual bear tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this
but
one,
not
like
consistent
this,
with the.
Well, this
with
one here,
trackway.
you could almost argue this is a double step, almost.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is definitely a whole foot. And like I said, there's 20 feet of them. There's like 20 of these in a row. In various.
We drove to a place called No-Go Valley. This place has a lot of stories, and when I say a lot of stories, a lot of strange stories.
To find out.
A lot of history here.
Oh yeah.
A lot of history.
A lot of history. A lot of sightings in this area.
Weird stuff.
It's it's sort of a different environment than where we were a little higher up before. We're down in a valley here, so.
Different animals, different migration patterns, feeding on different things.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty confident that and right beside it, I don't know. I think that these are
hoofs.
These are hooves right here, and maybe that's a double register here on this side. Would be my guess.
I can see that.
But I mean, while there's still light, it's not a bad idea to go look for any of these little wallows or track traps. We call them.
Dr. Pepper. Why did you say Dr. Pepper on the can?
Because they're Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Finding that stuff in the field.
All right, we got some beans, hot dogs, burgers, all rigged up. Beautiful place out here.
Food's coming up fast. And they'll say no.
Have you guys ever heard of the researcher named Grover Cranch?
Who's that?
Oh, he was a very famous researcher, guys.
What did he research?
What was it, Ian?
I think it was the elusive condiments.
Our search in No-Go Valley brought us nothing out of the ordinary. The footprints on the Go Road were mostly inconclusive. Right place, right time, but not the result we're looking for.
Yeah, it took the sun a while to come up over this peak. Once it did, hit my car window.
I like it. There's a lot of landscape. A lot of trails to blaze and check it out. Bigfoot activity, it's kind of quiet. But it makes sense. There's a lot of different vegetation and a lot of deer and a lot of stories that come out of here.
Pretty fresh bear scat. Wow, this place has a real aroma. Actually smells like one of those lush candles that you purchase in the store.
That's right.
It all falls out. Oh my gosh.
Only one bottle. I'm recording.
Yeah. 1958. That's when this was built. Yeah.
It says it right there. You look like a little baby to me because the water makes your legs look shorter.
It does, dude. That's weird. You got little baby legs, dude.
Piece of a bulldozer?
I think so. The date says 1951.
Well, we think so. I mean, it says 51M.
51.
Yeah. 51M, and yeah, there's a whole pile of them. To me, it looks like it's part of the tread
Wow.
of a track machine like a bulldozer. And yeah, when the belt broke or whatever, they just left them here. But yeah, definitely a relic of the road building era here, which was also the Jerry Crew era and the coining of the Bigfoot era. An epic place
With
for
history.
the launching of the
But I haven't named it yet.
the SS Patty.
I'm going to take my dog's name.
The SS Riley.
SS Riley.
We're at Onion Lake, and what did you find?
Bro, I found me a couple onions. Who would have thunk that they'd be here?
Onion Lake, who would have thought? Yeah.
Robert Leiterman and I are sitting at the bar in that seat.
All right, we got some onions cooked by Ron at Onion Lake. Taste test.
Yeah, if they're not perfectly
That's like perfect.
caramelized.
That is so good. Did you have some onions?
Mm-hmm.
They're so good, dude.
I had like 5 of them.
They're so good.
Hey, that's tomorrow night's dinner.
Tomorrow night's dinner, some frogs.
We got some cardboard. Liven the things up.
I kind of touched on this last video, but it's like you read all these historical documents, all these famous Bigfoot books, and this is a very unique place because you get to come up here and do the same thing the people you read about did. The heroes of Bigfoot research, if you will. You read about Onion Lake, and you read about their impressions of Onion Lake. Then you show up, and you start to see exactly what they're talking about. You know, there's that saying about diving into a book. This is kind of as close as it gets to that. Nice, yeah.
Yeah, some of the other tourist bumper stickers I have on my cars, you know, they last a year in the sun before they're cracked and faded. And so this company I went with, you know, they weren't bluffing. They really do use, you know, high
Did you see
quality.
that? Did you catch the pun? Because they weren't bluffing. Bluff Creek.
Here, yeah.
Exactly. If you can get a sleeping bag back into the original bag.
Bandit. Ooh, ooh, bandit. Bandit. Damn it, bandit. Stay.
Bandit's gonna tip him over, dude.
I could get is maybe if I got a 2-person kayak, or I think a canoe is probably just best.
Elusive AF.
Hey, look at him. It's like one of those rides.
Bandit, no!
People say something can't live in the woods, that everything's kind of been discovered. But as far as you can see, it's just trees from here to Canada with little cities sprinkled in. The majority of this Pacific Northwest is just absolute wilderness that's completely untouched. You might have a road that goes through an area, and on each side of that road, you might have 25 miles that hasn't been seen by modern man, or man in general. So to think that something out there can't exist.
Cold, too hot, cold, too hot. Back and forth.
To turn it back on again and go to the record button to record it. But then I got nothing. Steven's there with this little cheap little camera.
Scare small dogs.
She's Western Virginia.
And he's
Charlotte is just
Bandit.
2 hours
Scare small dogs.
So there's a gentleman, invested a lot of his time and life, and had a deep passion for Bigfooting. His name was Mike Mraz. And he unfortunately passed away. His family's here. They've been coming here since the 80s. They were friends with Renee DeHinden. They're gonna dump a little bit of his ashes into the creek here. So that way he forever lives in this area.
Still a mystery for all of us. But no longer a mystery for you. You know the truth, and you know if he's real or not. So we know.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
if you can help us at all to guide us along, that would be really awesome. But
Did you have one thing you wanted to say about?
no, I just want to make sure she's not.
No, that I wouldn't let you say earlier.
Oh, can I say it now?
Go free, little Bob. Go free. Say goodbye. Say goodbye.
All right, Tessa.
Thank you. That was very
Now, when Jamie was trying to set this all up before, I tried out a video.
Yeah, his name was really, he was a nice guy, but something someone can always act something.
No doubt she's a water dog. So good, dude. So good.
Are you guys out
It's a nice sticker there.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
Well, maybe not.
Oh, I love it,
Plug
dude.
for Santa Cruz and Bonnie Doon.
That's so cool.
You guys gonna try to swing by,
Yeah,
Willow
nice,
Creek for
nice.
Bigfoot days? What do you guys got for optics? Night
Oh,
optics?
I've got my FLIR Alkalade. Which can't have audio.
I was gonna say I got a Gen 2 night vision that I was gonna just leave hooked up for the power bank.
Excuse me. We have trail cameras, but we're going to leave it open, so
I like that.
anything would have to go around all of us, or just go straight through if it doesn't want to do that long trek.
Sounds logical.
All I said was be
That's perfect.
super quiet when you're on these perimeters, because
Yeah.
something's coming up. We'll just turn back around. We wanted to kind of pass through. And
Yeah.
So that's
are you guys
kind of the plan.
are you guys aware, kind of like what happened at Laird last year?
I heard about there was some rock throwing, right? There was
Yeah.
a couple
So
things going on.
Alex and I were kind of here, and there's this lone tree where Jonathan and Eli were
We just tucked into the bushes and stayed there for like
At least an hour.
doing one knock and then just wait and listen.
So we had like 4 people go up the road, then we had 4 people in here. So they were doing stuff over here, and we got something thrown at us behind me and Alex right here. And then later on, that same direction but further out, we heard a knock.
What we heard was a giant branch, and then we heard this unexplainable sound that like no one. We've sent it to like all these
you know, just random people to
Get
try
it
to
Chris
identify.
Like Chris Vance or
It goes like this. Goop, bloop. It sounded like
It's
a
like a
champagne
champagne
bottle.
bottle.
And I'm talking like in the audio, you hear it and you think it's something distant. It was right behind him, and it was so loud. I mean,
Yeah,
it
here
just
it is.
lit up. It just lit up the whole.
Same direction.
Some
Exactly where they were setting up either.
Sound.
Interesting.
we gotta go.
Yeah, that's the spot. I'm actually not going to drive down there. I'm just going to park over here and walk in.
Anybody needs bug spray? I have some on the top of my car there. The mosquitoes are.
No, I mean, I know that.
They're terrible. Terrible. We're all sprayed down, so we're okay
I don't
right
think
now.
I've met you.
I'm Glenn.
Glenn, nice to meet you.
And it's possible that Steven? That's my brother.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I am going to need some of your spray.
Sure, sure.
Thank
Well,
you.
here's the thing.
Help
If
yourself.
you're blasting it from here, camp, and they're up here, they're going to have to either cross all the way around, like I said, or come straight through. Which, ideally, that would be great.
Yeah.
But if they're down here, and they're coming up this way,
even if they come in here and behind us,
they would just come right through here.
then we've got the drone that they can pick up.
He's straight down that road pretty, pretty straight.
Okay, so just basically stop on the corner.
Yeah, but you could, but I think it would be cool if you
could
walked
probably
a
just
little bit.
You could what you do is just park here, truck somewhere just off
Like
the
right,
road
just
here,
off, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then just walk in.
I do. So, Bart said every 30 minutes you guys are going to radio us to let us know you're doing a fun distress call. And then every hour, too, you're going to radio us and say, have someone do a knock or whatever. You can pick who you want us to do. You know what I'm saying? Does that make
We're
sense?
gonna kind of like almost be controlling things from down here. We're like the IC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you like, so I can leave you with this crude map and you'd be like, we can say who's going to be where. You go like, hey, can you guys do this knock and wherever
names,
we're at?
Put names down so.
Yeah, please.
Where am I? That's a
You're blocking the camera.
Think about
I need to get on the radio. I'm getting eaten alive.
Because we actually have a game plan unlike last year.
And another thing to say, we got some great people. Glenn's back here. I wasn't showing him. It's a brown dwarf on YouTube. If you guys aren't familiar, subscribe to that channel. You got Ian Carton over here. He's getting ready. He's doing his pre-game, I'm not sure, yoga perhaps, and just gets him hyped up. And
East Coast yoga.
Tuning himself for
East
nature.
Coast, yes.
Sounds pretty wild, huh? Can you hear it? Yeah.
Okay, we're getting ready to knock.
This is Jonathan. There are vocalizations coming from the top of the mountain. Me and Glenn heard 4 distinct sounds behind us. Keep an ear out. We had a very, very loud vocalization several days, like a bear roar. It's about 10, just after 10 o'clock. Glenn and I are posted up here. After Tate did some knocks in the other meadow, we heard this roar up on the mountain over there. Damon, who's way up the road, heard them as well. It was a bit unsettling. It sounded like a roar. So something's around tonight. What that is, I don't know.
Sounds like the fucking Yeti on the Matterhorn in Disneyland, dude.
Despite us hearing a 3-second roar, only the top end of it was recorded on Glenn's phone. Not impressive at all, we decided to see how much information we can extract from it, so we sent it over to Chris Spencer of the Olympic Project. Chris Spencer does not consider himself an audio expert, but those that work with him do. Chris has hours of recordings of the Olympic Peninsula of many animals, including an unidentified species that yells, knocks, and communicates with others of its kind. His analysis of wildlife audio is considered by many the best. Chris extracted and amplified this audio, and even found an extra percussive sound that we missed. It is of his opinion that if we could rule out a large canine, we probably heard what he refers to as the target species. Here is the sound and percussive looped.
So, in retrospect, last night, we all posted up all over Laird Meadow. We had several groups running thermal imagers, audio recording, and night vision. We did some knocks, and at 9:46 p.m., we heard what I can describe like King Kong waking up on the mountain. I know it sounds comical, but that's the best way to describe it. We heard a 3-second up on the mountain. Clear as day. I'm sure the audio recorder picked it up. We're going to scan through that and see what we find. See, I always believe that you don't need to kill one. I know it sounds against science, but the truth is if you film a Bigfoot in 4K, showing some kind of behavior and showing high details like fingers, toes, the face, there'll be a point where science does accept it. Or at least it would promote funding to go actually find a body. Or maybe it'll inspire some kind of influx of money from a university to come find one of these. So I feel like every little bit of evidence is contributing toward this big picture, toward this big factor that maybe there'll be funding from university or more people who are sane, hunters, trackers with lots of experience that'll come out and help out with these expeditions. We already have great people. We have a great crew. We can probably do it ourselves. Morning. How'd you sleep? So, Glenn was rolling footage while that yell happened. Let's take a listen.
Right place, right time, not the result we're looking for. I blame lack of equipment. All over the North American wilderness, there's been a particular hair that's been collected. This hair has been found after supposed Bigfoot activity, whether that be footprints, sightings, or branches that appear to have been manipulated by hands. This hair shows unique characteristics when viewed under a microscope. Those characteristics are not shared by any other animal in the world. Dr. Henry Fehrenbach took several of these samples and found very specific characteristics unique, meaning it belongs to a specific species of unknown origin. Not a variation of another known species or an anomaly. Hair that meets these specific qualifications fall into the Fehrenbach gold standard, the Sasquatch hair.
See, there's a twist on the top?
Yeah.
It is a little weird.
Yeah.
Huh. So a little bit of a strange thing. A lot of people talk about kind of like they see strange branches grabbed and twisted. Well, there are
obvious breaks from like things like snow load and wind. There's a few strange ones like this one up here. I don't know. You do have this other tree here that's almost at the same height. Is it possible? Does the snow really build up to that high and then something come over and then kind of twist and break them? See this twisting here? Is that made from that? What causes it to kind of twist like that? That's what gets people thinking. This one looks like a straight up break. Wow, this looks like a twist.
The other side. There's a smaller branch on the other side.
Oh yeah? Oh, I see that. Yeah. You know, that right there looks fresh.
Yeah.
This one, the top one looks old. This one looks fresh. So it's like a little something grabbed it.
Yeah, because you can tell the needles are dead. Right?
That bigger stick is not big enough to break that second one. So
no, the second one's got a little twist in it.
Mm-hmm. And then what's up with these trees? These trees show no indications of any like abuse at that height. So, I mean, that's something to think about if you're saying snow load. If you're saying snow load being around this height or that height, you know, I don't see any major changes in these trees at those heights. What'd you find, Ron?
This is one example, but it's all over the meadow here. It might be bare the more I look at it. You can see these bark's been bitten or chewed on. But even getting all the way up here, you can see where something's been chewing on these trees, maybe looking for larvae or eating the sap itself. And then some of these hairs get stuck in the branches and the divots of the bark.
You're right, there is hair.
Yeah.
See that hair wrapped around? There's some hair right here. Let me see.
Can you get the contrast on my hand there?
Yeah.
It's stringy. It's long. It is not fur.
Yeah.
You know, bears have fur.
Yeah, I was looking at one. I pulled one down earlier, and then I did this here and pulled one out of my own head, and was like,
you know, unless some 6.5 foot tall brunettes walked by, caught their head in this tree.
Yeah.
We decided to get some help to view these hairs under a microscope by someone who knows what they're doing.
So there's that little tiny vial there. Yeah, so that one.
Because you see that's undercoat, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's all wavy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Fur has an outer layer and then an undercoat that's all wavy that have airspace underneath the outer coat. It's an insulation thing, like a wetsuit. And Sasquatches do not have that. No primate does. So
I see.
It's up on that. So this is almost certainly bear hair or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, see how it's all wavy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's an immediate disqualifier.
I would say is bear hair.
Without a doubt.
Anything out of Bluff Creek is probably bear hair. There's so many damn bears here.
Oh, yeah.
No joke.
It's cool looking. It's good looking bear hair.
That's sweet.
You know, that one has potential. Because one of the characteristics of the Sasquatch hair is that it has a parallel-sided shaft and it wears bluntly at the end without that long, drawn-out taper. We'll look at the rest of it and just see how it compares in characteristics. I suspect we might find some medulla further down the shaft.
Is there a known application for why the tapered edge is?
No, it's just that, you know, that's just the way the hair grows. It starts off just small, and then it gets as the hair extrudes out or grows out, the girth it just becomes greater. Some guard hairs. Let me see if I have. Let's see. So you can have guard hairs that have banding patterns. You can have these very spatulate shapes. In our case, I mean, it's just drawn out to a long, tapering tip. But this is nice, even though it's all in black and white. They give a very standardized description of the parts, the cuticle structure, the medullary ratio, and its appearance, its form, and give several examples of the hair from different parts.
Can I take a photo of the cover just so?
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
I know it's out of print, but maybe I can.
Yeah. All right, here's further down the shaft. So take a look at that, and this looks. I mean, it doesn't look really coarse enough. And I'm not an expert on hair. It's pretty easy to isolate those characteristics that distinguish what we think are Sasquatch from the most likely misidentified candidates. So I'm pretty good at recognizing bear. Deer's really easy because it has this broad vesiculated, these little or vaculated, it's like honeycomb medulla that almost fills the whole shaft. Real easy. I mean, that was why when the FBI story broke about Peter Burns sending in the hair and they actually examine it. I really thought it was really great that the FBI actually went to the effort of following through on this guy's request, instead of just saying he's a kook. But the thing is, anybody that had any experience, had even dabbled in hair identification, could have stuck that under a microscope and immediately identified it as deer. And so the negative fallout is the skeptics take this as one big publicized example. Well, look, anytime some serious qualified investigator looks at the evidence, it's exposed as misidentification.
It looks like a lack of education on behalf of the person who submitted the hair.
Well, yeah, I mean, it obviously reflects negativity, and Peter unfortunately had quite a track record of misidentifications. But anyway,
he swung at them all.
But take a peek at that one, and you can see the very distinctive, quite tapered. So that's perhaps a disqualifier. But see, actually, I think what you're taking as a little fragment of the medulla is actually either schmutz, either just crud on the hair, because there was a lot, especially out at the end, or a pigment granule, a pigment lozenge they call it. Take a peek now. I bumped the magnification up, and it's a lot clearer.
Oh yeah.
So it does lack a medulla. See, all these come from I can never remember. One's from Texas, I remember. One's from Alaska. I can't remember. I think the other was from Washington. and yet they're just absolutely identical. The only difference being the proportion of eumelanin going from a very light, and under the microscope it looks a little yellowish, but the hair looks almost blonde, to a light brown to a darker color, darker brown, almost black.
Could that just be because of the environment they're in?
No, it's just the variation. So there are two pigment types. There's pheomelanin and eumelanin. Pheomelanin gives the reddish hue, and eumelanin is black.
Yeah.
And so it's like having contrasted brightness tiles, sort of, so you can vary the amount, the concentration of those two. When they're both very low, the hair's white. If the pheomelanin increases, then you go into a buckskin and a reddish brown, the orangutan look. As the black increases, then it turns to a darker brown until you get up to where it's almost black, but it still has, depending on the level of pheomelanin, it can have a reddish tint, sort of a mahogany cast to it.
After reviewing more hair samples with Dr. Meldrum, there was one hair that came close to meeting the criteria for Sasquatch hair. I would like to thank Dr. Meldrum, seen here signing my daughter's book, for inviting us to his laboratory to have a discussion regarding these hairs.
You gotta put your one foot up on the wall. Hips on your side, hands on your hips.
Like on South Park, and you have to look to the side off in the distance. Conclusions from Bluff Creek to Oregon to Idaho. We had the hair samples.
Coming in here and talking to Dr. Meldrum was kind of interesting because a lot of the other discussions we were having about hair analysis, it was immediate condemnation because we did not have all of the characteristics of suspected Sasquatch hairs. But Dr. Meldrum elaborated on that some hairs on different parts of the body have different characteristics. And so the nature of the hair that we had that was in question and under the microscope a couple of times, it had one characteristic, the lack of medulla. The characteristic it was missing was it had the tapered end. But now I'm thinking, that we can't totally dismiss it as being a potential Sasquatch hair because it could have come from a different part of the body. So if it came from the side of the hand or something when as a Bigfoot was interacting with that tree, as opposed to the shoulders where more textbook examples of suspected Sasquatch hairs have come from, then it would look different under the microscope potentially. So it just goes, we get deeper into this subject and we ask questions and we cross-reference, the professional opinion of experienced people in this field and related fields of study. And what I'm realizing is we're going to have to absorb ourselves in a lot of detail-oriented work. And I'm hoping that these aren't the last hair samples that we get from the field. And ultimately what we have is inconclusive, but still has some potential out there. It's looking better than just totally being able to dismiss every hair that we took as bear or elk.
Correct. Yeah.
So that big question mark in the sky, that we don't have a total answer as to what was out there in that meadow, and in conjunction with the audio recording of the suspected vocals that we have that are currently being looked at and analyzed. It's been a good trip. We pulled a lot of interesting stuff, and if we can't get a definite no as to whether or not it was a Bigfoot, the maybes, I'll take the maybes.
After this visit, we have like a new arsenal of knowledge when it comes to hair. Like if you can go in a time machine, if you will, and go back to that meadow, you would have collected the hair totally different.
I'll admit that I made a mistake because what I did was I kind of had a lapse in tracking and sign observation because I was looking at this tree and there were a couple of different hairs in there. They're the hairs that were kind of twisted and gnarled around the breaks, which could be attributed to probably the black bear who tore up this tree and was, wrestling with it, scratching himself on it, or trying to eat something from the tree. And as a result, you know, those hairs were kind of twisted and pulled out because of the dynamic interaction with the tree. So the bear was roughhousing the tree, and it was getting hair pulled out as a result. But then something else occurred to me is with all the bites and scratches from that bear, the trauma caused the tree to leak sap. And some of the hairs were right there caught in that sticky sap, which would have implied, because that sap is a slow it's a slow process for it to bleed out of the tree like that. It could take a couple of weeks, you know, before it accumulates on the outside of the tree after the initial trauma. And I realized while we were in that lab that, well, that was a timestamp. Everything caught in the sap was much later than the hairs that were wedged into the breaks and the twists from the initial damage, or for where something was biting the bark and leaving hair wrapped in. So whether or not something just brushed by that sap or brushed by that tree and left its hairs in the sap, or what it was, or could have been anything. You know, we were talking about all the various animals it could have been, you know, whether it was bear or potential marten or something like that, you know, something scurrying up the tree and leaving a couple of hairs in that sap. I mean, I know now that, but we have to look at the sign. We could have done more.
With this visit, like, the amount of things that I learned just about hair, you know, and Dr. Meldrum said, I don't know much about hair, but just him sifting through that book.
That book was incredible.
The book was awesome, you know? And he has like the one copy that anybody can find of it. It was just a big learning process, and, you know, learning process is what makes you a better researcher, if you will. So yeah, next time, the process of gathering this hair for all of us, guaranteed, is going to be way different. And you know, that said, we probably gathered it incorrectly and didn't do it as specifically as we should have. But even then, we turned up this. It's not your typical mystery hair, but it certainly is still like mysterious. You know, it's not explained. It had like a fragment of a medulla, and that doesn't explain anything, right? So yeah, like you said, in the end, inconclusive. Was there more we could have done? Yeah. Did we know it at the time? No. Are we gonna do it next time? You bet. I was just nerding out because I had these questions about the stresses on the foot from his diagrams, and when he explained all that to me, it was so basic and so easy, and I was like, oh.
Remember the hair that Damon pulled from the 8 to 9 foot level off that tree? Well,
let me see. Can you get the contrast on my hand there? That's
Yeah.
stringy. It's long. It is not fur. You know, bears have fur.
Yeah, I was looking at one. I pulled one down earlier, and then I did this here and pulled one out of my own head, and was like,
You know, let's 6.5 foot tall brunettes walked by, caught their head in this tree.
Fine, but Damon, you picked a hair off the very top of the tree.
Yeah. I was looking at that tree after little eagle eye Ron over there, found all the hair in the first place, which is kind of amazing. But looking at it, I looked way up, and about as high as I can reach, way up out there, was just this guy about that long, just a skinny little hair. It was kind of amberish in color, and really kind of distinct, and it looked just like some hairs that Bobo had actually shown me a couple years prior of some suspected Sasquatch hairs. So I squirreled that little guy away and took it down on my way back home. We stopped by the NABC and talked to Cliff and Nico and those guys and had them look at it under their microscope. Cliff wasn't there, but Nico was there. And so he stuck it on there, he looked at it, and he went, huh. And then he ran around to the back where there's a display of some hair back there, and from a Sasquatch sighting. And he looked at that, and we went back in and looked at it again, and then he went and looked at it again, and he came back and forth a couple times, and then he got all excited, called up Cliff on the phone and said, dude, get down here, I got a pretty good hair down here.
A hair perfectly fitting the Fehrenbach gold standard, collected off of a tree in the middle of a remote wilderness. Right place, right time, great results.
Lucky. Like all the hairs you guys pulled out of here, that was the only one, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, you just got high enough for some reason, and yeah.
It was way up there.
Neat.
So anyway, that's kind of what happened. I guess, like you said, grab the golden ticket somehow.
The golden ticket. The golden standard. Thanks for coming along with us on this adventure. Until next time, I'm Jonathan Easley. Thanks for watching.